Hello everyone, welcome to my channel where we talk about the things we love like gaming, shows, and anime. Today we got a match made in hell that involves Cooler's crew against Frieza's best mercenaries. The Armored Squadron will be taking on the Ginyu Force. It is a fair fight even though it's 5 against 3. Well, you're about to find out. But before we begin, I'd like to give a shout out to Joseph, Ilya, Jordan Games, Arc Nemesis, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Gohan, DBZ, Anime and Gaming Entertainment, Ian the Saiyan 64, John Lon, Vegeta Prince of All Saiyans, and Team Solution. Thank you all so much for your support. I look forward to your comments and I hope you enjoy the crap out of this match. Now, let's begin. This time we will compare power levels at the end of the fight to further support the results of the match. Now, for this fight to begin, we could say that just like in the what if scenario of Zarbon, the squadron arrives on Namek to help assist Cooler in taking down Frieza, and Frieza, after realizing it, summons the Ginyu Force to take on the Armored Squadron. Both groups arrive on planet Namek and they prepare to take each other on, but only after showing off each other's team pose, of course. After both groups perform their team pose, the Ginyu Force would feel like they won that round since their team is bigger and consists in more poses, and the Armored Squadron feels that it ain't fair and begin arguing. After that waste of time, the team finally decides to fight. The Armored Squadron strikes first by shooting out their strongest ki blasts at the Ginyu Force. The Ginyu Force jumps out of the way and retaliates with their ki blasts. The Armored Squadron quickly dodge it and each close in to knock out one opponent. Salza strikes Geese, Dore kicks Berter into a mountain, and Naze strikes Guldo, tossing him into a lake. Ginyu gets surprised at how fast they knocked out 3 of his members, so he orders Rikun to attack Dore and Salza while he handles Naze. Rikun dashes at the 2 opponents and takes them on. Ginyu would fight Naze, landing a few hits on him and then finishing off with his Milky Cannon attack on Naze. The attack fails as Naze dodges it, sinking his head inside his own torso. Meanwhile, Geese, Berter, and Guldo recover from the attack that they received and plan out a strategic move. Berter would suggest Guldo freezes time in that exact spot to stop Salza and Dore from dodging their strongest ki attacks, but Geese refuses as it would also stop Rikun from dodging their attacks. While they continue to discuss their tactics, Salza and Dore would land a strong hit on Rikun, sending him towards Guldo, crashing onto him. Salza and Dore would then rush at Geese and Berter to their surprise and begin attacking them. While they are fighting, Ginyu would prepare his next attack against Naze. Naze would start shooting multiple ki blasts at Ginyu. He would succeed in dodging them, but would have no chance in getting close enough for a combat attack. Ginyu would use his visionary attack and land the hit on Naze, distracting him so that Ginyu can use his next move known as Strong Jersey, sending Naze to the ground. Meanwhile, Geese and Berter would be struggling to take on Salza and Dore. Geese would suggest they use the purple spiral flash, to which Berter agrees, and they manage to dash away from their opponent and perform the special attack. The purple spiral flash sends many strong ki blasts everywhere, mainly aimed at Salza and Dore, to which they don't succeed in dodging them all and get injured in the process. Dore gets angry and performs his full power energy braid wave. Salza performs the same move, combining their power, completely dominating Geese and Berter's special move, to which they both are sent flying off into the air. But to their surprise, Rikun appears in a flash and knees Salza in the face, sending him crashing into a mountain. Dore takes on Rikun again, and Rikun decides to use his full power to gain the upper hand. While they are fighting, Ginyu charges up his next attack to try and finish off Naze. But luckily Naze got away from his sight. Ginyu gets worried and stops charging his attack, so he uses a scouter to locate where Naze is hiding. Naze quickly sneaks up behind Ginyu and uses his strange rush signature attack, causing massive damage on Ginyu. He connects his attack with many combination hits. Ginyu is too injured and can't seem to block or dodge the attacks. Luckily, Guldo prepared a telekinetic attack similar to the tree special he used against Gohan and Krillin. He throws the tree directly at Naze, but once again, Naze ducks his head into his own torso to avoid the impalement. Ginyu is surprised at how quickly Naze avoided the attack and rushes towards Guldo to tell him that he can take this guy out, but he's too fast, so he needs him to freeze the time in that exact spot so that he can land the final blow. Goldo agrees and Nei's acts first by using his Bind Wave attack on Ginyu. Ginyu sees the attack coming and dodges it in time, but Goldo gets struck instead and gets roasted up. Nei tells Ginyu that he was lucky enough to avoid the hit, but this time he won't get away easily. Ginyu is frightened and decides to use his last option, the body change. Ginyu performs it and succeeds in changing bodies. Nei would have no clue to what just happened, and Ginyu would gain his confidence and blast Nei away with a ki blast. While Recoome is taking on Dore, Geese watches from below, planning his next attack, but then is confronted by Salza. Salza begins attacking Geese and lands many hits on him. Salza is gaining the upper hand, then he uses the Scatter Finger Beam on Geese, to which Geese luckily blocks it, but is still too injured to fight back. Salza prepares his next attack, but Berter appears and uses his Mach Kick, landing many kicks on Salza. Salza isn't able to block any of them, but manages to push away with an explosive wave. This badly injures Berter and leaves him in shock. Berter suggests that he combine his efforts with Geese. Geese agrees and uses his Crusher Ball on Salza. Salza avoids the attack by rushing at Berter, and in a flash he uses the Salza Blade on Berter, impaling it through his chest, killing Berter. Geese would perform the same move, as both fighters are related and able to perform it. Geese would try over and over to slice up Salza, but his efforts would be useless and Salza would finally stop defending and attack Geese. Geese would not be fast enough and Salza would cut him in half, easily defeating Geese. During that outcome, Recoome would be losing the fight against Dore. Ginyu, being in the body of Nei, would show up pretending to be on Dore's side, and he would tell Recoome to perform his strongest attack on them, as they are confident enough to easily block his attack. Recoome would get angry and agree by using his Ultra Eraser Gun on them. But as soon as he performs it, Ginyu would get behind Dore and get him in a full Nelson. Dore would be shocked and unable to avoid the attack. Recoome would land the hit on Dore with Ginyu behind him. Surprisingly, the attack would not injure Dore in the slightest, and he would laugh at their poor tactics. Ginyu would tell Recoome that he is actually Ginyu in the body of his opponent, and Dore would begin walking towards Ginyu and Recoome. Ginyu would get the idea to change bodies again, as he feels this is the strongest of the three, so he performs the body change move. Nei would jump in to their surprise and change back to his original body. Ginyu is now back in his original body as well, and weaker since he landed a ki blast on his own body. Nei and Dore would both prepare their next moves while rushing at their opponents. Ginyu and Recoome would put up their guard and Dore would use his thruster kick on Ginyu. Nei would attack Recoome with his Bind Wave, stunning Recoome, leaving him open for more punishment. Dore would use his special move, the Terrible Flash, on Ginyu, tossing him next to Recoome, and now both fighters would be connected in Nei's Bind Wave. Then Dore and Nei would both fly up and combine their powers to create the full power and energy barrage wave, aiming directly at Ginyu and Recoome while they are still stunned and being injured in the Bind Wave. Nei and Dore would land all ki blasts at their opponents, leaving nothing but ashes. All the members of the Ginyu force have now been defeated, making the Armored Squadron the winners of the fight. Now that the fight is over, I'll explain why this is the result of the fight, even if they were to change their tactics. The Ginyu Force has a great advantage by having 3 members with unique special abilities. Goldo can stop time, Berter is the fastest in the universe, and Ginyu can switch bodies. Problem here is, Goldo may stop time, but it's useless when he can barely move around since he needs to hold his breath to freeze time. And if he used his paralysis technique, he would need to somehow capture all 3 members of the Armored Squadron to achieve success. And if we say he somehow did manage to paralyze all 3, all they need to do in order to be freed is to attack Goldo, and unlike Gohan or Krillin, they can levitate objects and damage Goldo. Also, Salza and Nei have the ability to create an explosive wave that would damage or simply kill Goldo. Now, Berter is known to be the fastest in the universe, but from what we have been shown in the DBZ universe, the stronger you are, the faster you become. Unless you're Super Saiyan 1.5. And Ginyu may be able to change bodies, but that becomes completely useless when he cannot control the power of the body he's in. Now, here's the bigger problem, the power levels. Goldo has the power level of 19,000, Geese's power level is 64,000, Berter's is 68,000, Rickoom's is 71,000, and Ginyu's power level is 120,000. Pretty good, but not compared to the Armored Squadron. Salza has a power level of 170,000 to 200,000. Neese's power level is 163,000 and Dory's power level is 185,000. So the Ginyu Force stands little to no chance against the Armored Squadron. I would have thought that the Ginyu Force had the upper hand, but in the end, it all depends on who's the strongest. That's it for this match. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if so, put a thumbs up. And if there are any other videos you would love to request, please let me know in the comments, especially if you can think of a better way to see this fight going. Also, if you want to shout out a video request or you want to ask me a question for the next Q&A video, I strongly recommend you post it up on my Facebook page. And if you want to see more of my videos, be sure to hit the subscribe button because it really helps me out a lot. And I'll be sure to let you know when I post up more videos. This is Score saying have an awesome day.